Good evening, and welcome to the 34th Annual Joliet Junior College Adult Education Graduation Ceremony. My name is Dr. Judy Mitchell, President of Joliet Junior College, and your very proud host for today's very special event. I'd ask that everyone please rise as we begin our program with a presentation of the colors by Stone City VFW. Herbert Alexander, soloist and JJC employee, will lead us in singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you to the Color Guard and Mr. Alexander for the beautiful rendition of the national anthem. Please be seated. Tonight, we honor the 2017-18 adult high school completion graduates and their academic achievements. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all of you, especially to the family and friends of our graduates, whose guidance and support has been so important to our students. In fact, I'm positive our graduates would not be sitting here tonight without your support, and I think that deserves a round of applause. Did you know that Joliet Junior College is the nation's first public community college? We have been serving students and educating our community for generations, since 1901. Thank you for making JJC your first choice. We know that the success of a community college is determined by the strength of its leadership at all levels of the institution. This starts with our Board of Trustees who volunteer their time and expertise to govern JJC. While not all of our trustees could attend this evening, I would like to acknowledge their service. Mr. Bob Wunderlich of Joliet is the chairman of the board and has served since 1977. Ms. Maureen Broderick of New Lenox is vice chair of the board and has served since 2015. Mr. Mike O'Connell of Shorewood is secretary of the board and has served since 2009. Ms. Patty Deiters of New Lenox, who was appointed in 2017. Mr. Jake Mahalik of Joliet has served since 2017. Ms. Alicia Morales of Joliet has served since 2015. Mr. Dan O'Connell of Joliet has served since 2015. And Mr. Alonzo Rodriguez of Joliet, who is our 2018-19 student trustee. Please join me in recognizing the Joliet Junior College District 525 Board of Trustees. And now I'd like to recognize the members of the platform party. First, again, we have Ms. Elisa Morales, Trustee Maureen Broderick, Trustee Mike O'Connell, VP of Administrative Services, Dr. Randy Fletcher, Amy Murphy, Dean of Applied Arts, Workforce Education and Training, Michelle Smith, Director of Workforce Education, and our keynote speaker. So let's thank all of them. Sorry. We also have some special guests that are here with us this evening. First, we have State Representative Larry Walsh Jr., Pam Stofko, attending on behalf of Will County Regional Superintendent of Schools, Sean Walsh, and Gloria Dollinger, Will County Board Member and JJC Foundation Board Member. Next, bringing greetings on behalf of the Board of Trustees is Mike O'Connell.
Well, good evening, graduates, family members, and friends. Let me be first to say congratulations. What an honor you have as a student, but also to know that you will continue to make us proud of you and pursue your future goals. I got to deviate a little bit here, though. I was in education for 34 years, Joliet West, Joliet East, Joliet Central. And my last 16 years, retiring in 2006, I was a dean of students. And I'm sure a lot of you dealt with some dean of students when you were at school. The hardest thing for me to do was to tell somebody, you can't go to regular school anymore. And I saw so many good kids just make a bad decision somewhere along the line. Peer pressure, dropping out because they had to go to work. You know where you were, what happened to you, whatever your story is. But so many good people did that. But where I want to congratulate you is you had the drive to come back. And that's big, that's huge. You're out in the world. I mean, real quick, any of you have children? Any of you married? Any of you over 30? You know, I mean, there's all those things. It's hard to do. So not that only you come out and, you know, put in a little extra, the people at home had to step it up too. And that's why make sure you congratulate those people tonight. And we'll finish off there. I got off track a little bit here, but I had to say that. I'm really proud of you. You're the future leaders of our community, and your education at JJC has prepared you for this responsibility. Congratulations on all your accomplishments. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee O'Connell. Now I'd like to ask Michelle Smith, Director of Workforce Education, to the podium. Michelle will introduce our keynote speaker, Craig Boykin, this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. We do have a special guest here this evening that can definitely relate to some of the experiences of our graduates here tonight. Mr. Craig Boykin is an accomplished author and professional speaker whom completed his GED and continued his educational journey to pursue a doctorate of education. I had the pleasure of hearing Mr. Boykin speak a few months ago at a conference, and I was moved to tears. His story encapsulates hard work, persistence, and determination. I hope his words inspire each of you to continue your educational journey and never give up. I can turn the page. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Craig Boykin to the podium.
Good afternoon, everyone. I don't like to stand behind the podium because I don't like following directions. It is truly an honor to be here with you guys this evening. Before anything, let me do this. Let me commend you for receiving your GED, because I too have my GED and I know the long road it took for me to get there. I'll share some of that, but everyone in the audience, do me a favor. Let's stand to our feet and let's give these graduates the salute they deserve. This is their day. You know, the reason I do that is because as human beings, we always complain when we read the newspaper about people being killed or going to jail or getting shot or burglarizing homes. And then when we come to graduations and people are doing something tremendous, we clap like this. And so I think that we need to celebrate success because these people sacrificed. And it wasn't easy, especially when you're an adult talking about going back getting your GED. And so life is hard. But what I found out about life is it's kind of like playing poker. When you're dealt a poker hand, if you don't like that hand, you can do what with it? You can throw it back. You can get a whole new set of cards. And that's exactly what you guys are doing right now. You didn't like necessarily the life that you have been dealt growing up, so you threw your cards back, and now this is a new deck. And so what are you going to do with it? Celebrate today. Go home, go out to eat, enjoy, party, have a good time, and then come next week, you need to be coming back and rolling in some type of junior college, four-year college, or wherever it is you want to go. Because this is a competitive world. And I would be lying to you if I told you that this right here would set you up to be successful for the rest of your life. This is just a stepping stone. This is just the beginning. Now you need to be researching and Googling and looking at careers so you can put yourself in position to take care of your kids. I understand life is hard. My mom had me when she was 16 years old. My dad was 18 and he wanted nothing to do with either one of us. My mom dropped out of school in the 7th grade. So why is that important? Well, many of you, just like me, was set up to fail before you even came here. My life and my world was kind of formed when I was still in my mom's womb, because when you come out of the womb and you have a 16-year-old mother who dropped out in the 7th grade, you don't move to Beverly Hills. You kind of get pushed into a certain lifestyle. And so my mom had 3 kids before she was 21 with a 7th grade education. She was in abusive relationships. And somewhere around the 3rd grade, she started using drugs, crack cocaine. I was in the 3rd grade. And I started finding crack pipes all over the house. And I'm flushing them down the toilet, throwing them out the window because I didn't know what it was, but I just knew every time my mom smoked drugs, I didn't like the end result. And so it affected me so much that I would have to go sit down in the classroom in school and the teacher talking about adverbs and pronouns and Christopher Columbus, and I'm thinking about my mama smoking crack last night. And it began to take over my life so much to the point that I got frustrated. I got suspended. I got in fights. And eventually I repeated the 3rd grade. Somewhere within that 3rd grade year, the educational system decided that I couldn't learn, and they stuck me in special education. And so once you kind of get pushed into special ed, it's a whole different world. Then I end up failing the 5th grade. So I ain't even make it out of elementary school, and I had already repeated twice in school. Now, anyone that works in education, they'll tell you the probability of a kid graduating high school once they fail twice is slim to none. And then I got to middle school, and things started to change a little bit because somebody introduced the basketball to me, and they put a football in my hand. And for the first time in my life, I became successful at something. I had been failing at academics my entire life. Now they put me on the football field. They put me on the basketball court, and all of a sudden, I became someone. But I was still just doing enough to get by, because by now, I'm 2 years older than everyone in my class. And as you can see, I'm not a little guy, and I shot up. I was like 6 feet tall in the 6th grade. And so nobody really bothered me. And I made it all the way to the 10th grade. I was 17 in the 10th grade, reading on a 5th grade level in a classroom full of 14-year-olds. And I remember one day the teacher called on me to come up to the board to read. And I got up and I was stumbling, and all these 14-year-olds are laughing at me. And I remember how it made me feel. And in that moment, I decided I no longer want to be here. So I went and got my car keys out of my locker. I put my books in, and I drove home. And I remember on that ride home, I told my mom, I called on the phone. I said, Mom, I'm not going back to school. I done had enough. I'm 17 years old in the 10th grade. I'll be 20 years old if I graduate. And I remember my mama telling me like it was yesterday. She said, well, if you drop out, that's your decision. But if you stay here, you got to get a job. She never once made me think about even trying to go back. But how can my mom hold me accountable when she never went back? And so I went out in the real world, and I had unrealistic expectations. See, this is where most of you can pick up where I'm talking about. I went out in the world and I got me a job, and I thought that I had proven all my educators wrong, because teachers always told me, Craig, you can't do anything without an education. Well, when I got my first job, I felt like I had proven them wrong. I went and got me a job at Subway. They gave me a T-shirt that says sandwich artist. I thought I had arrived. And then I got my paycheck, and I jumped down my manager's throat because I wanted to know who this was taking money out of my check. And he talking about taxes. I'm like, well, I didn't approve any taxes to come out of my check. And I started to realize that this ain't gonna work. I'm working all these hours, and my check don't resemble the hard work. And I went to Burger King and McDonald's, and I think I worked at Church's Chicken. I don't know if y'all have one here, but it's a chicken place. I worked there for like 3 hours and quit. I ain't even tell the man I quit. I just went and got in my car and went home. Because I'm getting fed up of all these fast food restaurants. And so my brother was 3 years younger than me. My brother was in a gang. And one day he called me on the phone, and he was in a frantic. And so I picked up the phone. I said, what's going on? He said, I'm at the bowling alley. I done got into a fight with another gang. Come pick me up. So I went to the bowling alley, and I picked my brother up, and I put him in my car. It was 4 of us in an Explorer. And we pulled out from the bowling alley, and we're sitting at a traffic light. And I guess the gang followed us from the bowling alley because they shot my entire truck up front to back. The guy sitting in the back seat, he got shot in the head. We rushed him to the emergency room, and while I'm walking around the ER, the nurse comes up to me and she says, sir, are you okay? I said, I'm fine. Why are you asking me that? I said, the other guy was shot in the head. She said, sir, I think you need to look at your arm. And I looked at my arm, and I had blood running all down I had been shot in the arm, and I didn't even know it because of your adrenaline. When that adrenaline get to pumping, you don't even feel it. So they took me in the back, and they stitched me up, and they sent me home. 2 weeks after getting shot, I was at my grandmother's house. Now, I stay in Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama. And so I'm in what's called the Bible Belt. The Bible Belt pretty much has 3 churches on every corner. And so I had one of those old school grandmothers where she didn't care what you did on Friday or what you did on Saturday, but come Sunday morning, everybody in the house going to church, or you ain't eating no Sunday dinner. And so this Sunday, for whatever reason, I didn't want to go to church. I told my grandmother I'd drop her off at church, and on the way home from dropping my grandmother off from church on a Sunday morning, about 8 o'clock in the morning, I get pulled over by the police. Police came to the car. They snatched me out. They run my license. I had 3 warrants. They put the handcuffs on me, and they took me to the Montgomery County Jail. And I remember they told me I had a locked bond. I had to see the judge before I can get out. And they put me in a cell by myself. It was smelly, nasty, dirty, wet. The pillows was nasty. I mean, it was just an uncomfortable experience. And I'm sitting on this bed, and all I could hear was my 5th grade teacher, who was named Mr. Pendarvis. And Mr. Pendarvis told me every day in 5th grade, Craig, you're going to be dead or in jail by the time you're 18 if you don't change your life. I was shot 2 weeks ago. Now I'm sitting in this jail cell not knowing what's about to happen to me. And I kept hearing my 5th grade teacher voice. And I thought about my whole life, how it was messed up before I even came here. And I made a vow that day, because see, that was my rock bottom. Most people don't change until they hit the rock bottom. And that was my rock bottom. And I made a vow with myself, if I get out of this, I'm going to do something different with my life. The judge was going to sentence me to 366 days in jail. Now, that's called a year and a day. The reason the judge give you a year and a day and not 365, you can serve 365 days in a county jail. If he give you one more day, 366, it's because he wants you to go to prison to know that's not where you want to go. But I pleaded with him. I begged, and he let me go home. I went home, and I ran across Job Corps. And Job Corps sent me, Job Corps is, you can go and get your GED, it's a government program, and they sent me to Kentucky, and I was in Kentucky for a year and a half. And I had worked through all these workbooks and pamphlets and worksheets, and it was time for me to take my GED, and they sent me to a community college. I got to the community college, the lady came out and started reading the GED instructions to me, and about 45 minutes into the GED test, I started sweating real bad. My stomach started turning. So the lady came in and gave me a cold bottle of water, and I drank the bottle of water, and about 15 seconds later, I vomited all over the GED test because I was nervous. I knew that this GED test could either change my life or it could either seal my fate. And so the lady came in and cleaned it up, and I finished the GED test, and I went back to Job Corps, and about 4 or 5 weeks later, they called me in the office, and the lady said, Mr. Boykin, I got good news and bad news. The good news is you passed 4 parts of the GED test. The bad news is you failed 1. I said, well, did I pass or fail, ma'am? She said, well, you failed. And so for the first time in my life, I tried. I gave it 150% and I still failed. So I got upset and I told them to send me home. And I went home and I was having a pity party on my grandmother's couch, and one day I decided to join the Army. So I went to the military, and I was in the Army for 3 years, and every day I was passing back and forth, passing this community college. And one day I saw on the marquee sign of the community college, it said, get your GED here today. And I just kept passing and kept passing. You ever had where you couldn't go to sleep at night because someone was just pulling on you? And so one day I stopped and I went in, and the lady signed me up. I took my GED test and I passed. And I remember when I passed my GED, it felt like a load of bricks had been lifted off of my chest. And then I went back I was getting ready to get out of the Army and go back home, and they started talking about going to college. I'm like, man, I ain't finna go no college. I was in special ed. Special ed students can't go to college. Nobody in my family had ever been to college. And so when the military started telling me I can go to college, I just couldn't comprehend it. I couldn't understand what they were trying to get me to see. And then one day they messed around and said, if I go to college, the military going to give me $1,300 a month. I said, well, I'm finna go to college then. Because I need that $1,300 every month coming to my house. And so I walked on, I walked onto a 4-year university, Auburn University, 50,000 students. Same college Cam Newton won the national championship in football. I walked onto the Auburn University campus. I went into the admissions office. I said, ma'am, I want to be a student here at Auburn University. She said, well, I need to see your transcript. I said, I don't have one. She said, I need to see your high school diploma. I said, ma'am, I don't have that either. She said, well, baby, what do you have? I said, a GED. She said, ugh. I said, is it an STD or something? Like, what's wrong with having a GED? And she said, Mr. Boykin, because you have a GED, we got to give you a test. Long story short, I ended up taking remedial English and remedial math. Remedial classes in college, you pay for them, but they don't count towards your GPA. And it was a rocky beginning because I wrote my first paper in college, and I remember the professor came up to me after the paper was finished, and she looked at me in the face and she said, "Mr. Boykin, I think you gave me your rough draft. This ain't your real paper, is it?" I'm like, "No, that's my real paper." She said, "Mr. Boykin, you have no commas, no periods, no quotation marks. You got one run-on sentence for 2 pages. She said, "If this is where you are, you're not college material." I said, "Look here, woman." I said, "You knew the definition of remedial. You knew what type of students you was getting. You need to give me some help." She sent me to the Learning Center. I got a tutor that had taught 30 years in the educational system. This woman had to teach me when to use T-O, T-O-O, T-double-O, there and there, when to put a semicolon, a comma. This woman taught me 3rd grade terms. But watch this. I refused to be a statistic. I refused to quit. And I graduated from college with a bachelor's degree in 36 months, or 3 years. It takes most people 4 to 6 years to graduate undergrad. I graduated undergrad in 3 years with a bachelor's degree, went back to school, got not 1 but 2 master's degrees, and then went back and got a PhD in adult education. Not only that, but I've written 5 books. 5. I'm an author of 5 books, working on my 6th book. I was in Atlanta yesterday speaking at a conference. I'm here tonight. I'm flying back to Atlanta to speak tomorrow. I'm going to Rochester, New York Sunday, Nashville Tuesday, Enterprise, Alabama Wednesday. Like, that's my schedule. I spend more time on airplanes than I do with my wife and kids. But the irony is, listen, the irony is this. When I was in K through 12, when I was in elementary school, teachers didn't want to listen to me. I was begging them to listen to me. And the irony is now they pay me to come in so they can listen to me. I just signed a $25,000 contract with Detroit Public Schools to come and speak 4 times. 4. That's about 4 hours. I used to make $25,000 a year. So I'm standing in front of you. I ain't bragging. I'm just showing you what can happen. Because 20 years ago, I was sitting in your same seat, not knowing what was possible. All you got to do is have a little will that you want to be more than where you are. There's plenty of people in this world with GEDs that done went on and did great things. Why not add to the list? And so maybe you can come back in 10 or 15 years and be the keynote speaker for a graduation in 2035, saying, "I sat here 15 years ago in your very spot." You can do it, but you got to eliminate excuses. I don't care what your mama did. I don't care what your daddy did. I don't care where you come from, what neighborhood you from, what grade you dropped out in. Every one of you can go and be great. If you want to be the next president, you can do it. You got to take excuses off the table. It don't matter if you got a GED. Walk around with a GED with your head held up and your chest out. Because some of these people with high school diplomas can't pass the GED test. Y'all don't believe that, do you? A GED test is not easy. They did a survey, and one GED program had all the teachers take the GED test. Only one of the teachers passed. That's a difficult, I'm serious. That is a difficult test. So you enjoy what you've done. And when you step onto a college campus, know that you can fit in with the rest of those students. You belong there just like they belong there. You're no different. Your role was just a little bit different that you had to take. See, it don't matter if I go from here to that wall, or I go in that gym, come around and come back and go to that wall. I still get to the same destination. All of you, your road is clear. You can do whatever you want to do. You can be great, or you can go back tomorrow, go home and start playing PlayStation and do absolutely nothing. Life is about choices. My question to you is, what are you going to do with your choice? See, I got the audacity to say, I came from nothing. Now look at me. Do you have the audacity to say, you know what? I'm finna be great. It's in you. All these people that came to see you, they're proud of you. Now make them even more proud of you. Go and make your name great. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Boykin. Wow, what an amazing story of perseverance, inspiration, and success. Let's give him another round of applause. Now, please join me in welcoming my colleague, Dr. Randy Fletcher, our Vice President of Academic Affairs, to the podium. In addition to sharing salutations, Dr. Fletcher will also touch on the importance of continuing your education.
Well, thank you, Dr. Mitchell. I want to start by sharing my personal congratulations to the class of 2018. The fact that you have reached this milestone and are here with us tonight shows an investment in learning and an investment in your future. It's important to have goals and educational dreams, and those dreams should not end with the scroll that you received tonight from this program. In fact, I believe this is not the final step in your educational journey. It is hopefully one of many you will take to find your career, your passion, and make a positive contribution to your community. In my mind, there's no better place to continue your educational journey than Joliet Junior College. Explore your options. This isn't an endpoint, as we've learned tonight. We have resources to support you, and we consider you a part of the JJC family. Before I close, I would like to recognize the Joliet Junior College faculty and all the GED instructors. Please stand so that we can acknowledge your talents and efforts in and out of the classroom and the support you provided to our graduates. I would also be remiss if I did not recognize the hard work and dedication of the workforce education staff, not only for making tonight's events possible, but for all that they do every day to help ensure the success of those that we serve. JJ Workforce Education staff, please rise to be recognized. With that, I think it's the time you've been waiting for.
Thank you, Dr. Fletcher, and you're right. Graduates, it is the time you've been waiting for. At this time, I present to the Board of Trustees of Joliet Junior College District 525 and gathered faculty, staff, family, and friends, I present to you the candidates for the Adult Education High School Completion Certificate. Upon the recommendation of the faculty and by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees in the state of Illinois, I now confer upon you the certificate to which you are entitled. It is my privilege to begin the presentation of certificates, and I would like to invite the stage party to stand and greet the students as they receive their scrolls.
Hassan Abularach. Beta Ann Aguilar. Juliana Aguilar Magana. Juan Alviso. Angela Acosta Amayadowo, David George Appleton, Gianna Marie Barrera, Linda M. Berg, Cameron Butts, Jocelyn Marisa Cabrera, Joseph Kakamo, Megan Childs, Thais Koss, Justin Anthony Krubaugh, Zachary Andrew Sis, Matthew Davey, Nicholas R. Diaz, Janet Lynn Derkowitz, Jonathan Terrell Ellis Jr., Julius Agbor Etaña, Nancy Flores Cacique, Brad K. Fort, Latoya Fryson, Saraí Garcia, Luis Eduardo García Venegas, Citlali García Rivera, Margarita González, Marcus Graham, Andrea Graham, Chad Richard Holmquist, Jessica Judy Weekchair, Jenna S. Jones, Rodnia Tierra Jones, Shay Kildick, Ashley Ann Korpitz, Tanya Blikovich, Ariante Monet Lusby, Shalma Nelly Marin, Isel Martinez, Enedina Mendoza Guzman, Manuel Montoya, Destiny A. Morales Estrada, Odell G. Navarro, Abigail Nieto, Megan Loshu Olenchek, Alma Yasmin Perez, Dustin Pruden, Dylan Quinn, Marisol Ramirez, Chelsea Richardson, Marcella Richmond, Luis Manuel Rodriguez, Blanca I. Rodriguez Hernandez, Carlos Alberto Romero, Frankie Santos, Alexandro Santos Sate, Cassandra A. Solis, Jessica Tarrant, Deja Porche Turner, Emma Vogel, Danae Wicks, Aaron Asher Wincott, Eric Zavala, Alexandra J. Herring, Michael T. Zuniga, Bianca A. Aguirre, Taylor Pastro, Walter J. Duncan Jr., Tanyatan Deal, Jordan Thurston, and Jabari Thomas.
Everyone, please join me in congratulating the 2017-18 adult high school completion graduating class. Okay, this has been such a wonderful event, so I have to commemorate the night with a class photo. So hold on and get ready to smile. All right, it's ready for my Instagram. It's been a privilege to share in this celebration of this achievement with you this evening. We want you to continue your studies, and we believe that tonight's culmination of your work so far is the first significant step to that end. Joliet Junior College will always be there for you as you continue your journey. We hope you will continue to be part of our community now and in the future. I would also like to thank those individuals who are behind the scenes tonight making this a success. The volunteers, facility services, JJC Campus Police, Media Services, the Communications and Marketing Division, as well as the many staff members of Joliet Junior College. There are a few announcements before we conclude our ceremony. There are a double. The first group to exit the field house is the platform party, special guests, faculty, and administration. The graduates will be led to the reception area on the concourse outside the field house. Immediately following the recessional, everyone is invited to join us for reception just outside the field house in the concourse. Please remain seated until the stage party and graduates have left. You may exit the field house onto the concourse using the 2 sets of doors behind you. Staff will be available to direct you to the reception. We have come to the end of tonight's ceremony. Again, congratulations, good luck, have a wonderful summer, and we hope to see all of you in the hallway this fall. Thank you.